Radio MD.
RadioMD.com.
Melanie Cole's Health Radio. Health, wellness, and fitness. 5 days a week.
Adderall, the so-called good grade pill, is one of the more readily accessible drugs today, and it's a common part of life on college. We've been hearing about the abuse. Well, we're talking about it today. My guest is Dr. Indra Sadambi. She's the medical director for the Center for Network Therapy. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sadambi. So tell us first, what is Adderall and who is it really prescribed for?
Adderall is one of the stimulant medication. Adderall is being prescribed for patients who have been diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADD. You know, that's the prime reason why Adderall has been used. And also, for sometimes people might use that for narcolepsy and other causes. You know, but mostly it is for ADD and ADHD purposes.
So, I mean, I would never go and take my husband's blood pressure medication, and people would not want to take somebody else's cholesterol medication. Why would people want to take somebody's Adderall? What does it do for the average person that maybe doesn't have ADHD?
You know, mostly we see that Adderall is being abused by teenagers, you know, the school grades. People want to get good grades, and so they say, oh, it's my study tool, and it's not a drug. It's not cheating to use these pills, and mostly the students want to perform well, and they also say to themselves, everyone is doing this, I want to catch up with my peers, and that's one of the main reasons that they take this Adderall before their final exams. Mostly you would see that kids are looking for this prescription or using these pills more and more in the month of May and in December. You know,
what does it do?
You know, they believe, it's a myth, you know, they believe they can cram for their exams because they have been procrastinating and they think it is going to make them perform and get high grades. But actually it doesn't do that. You know, it's important to note that stimulants help improve disruptive behavior. For example, it'll help you focus, it'll help you pay attention rather than improving academic performance. What I mean by that is it'll improve your rote memory task, but not your complex memory, which is working memory. To do well in an exam, you know, one needs to use the working memory. That's what you need to do well on a paper in a college exam. But that's not what you achieve with Adderall. But then they think, oh, I'm going to focus, I'm going to stay awake. It does make you stay awake, but the next day you're so exhausted and you kind of crash in the exam and you're not performing well. It does not get your grades go up. It's a myth. They believe that by taking that.
Is it addictive?
Adderall is addictive. It has a high potential for abuse, you know, and addiction among people who don't have ADHD. It makes them feel that euphoric effect, and, you know, absolutely, they go depend on this. Adderall creates two kinds of dependence, psychological and physical dependence. The psychological dependence is I start taking this pill in order to do well in my exams, so constantly I will be dependent on this for the rest of my life. You know, reading is equal to taking the pills. If not, it's going to be a fear that I'm not going to retain what I read. I won't be able to, you know, cram for the exam. So it is a psychological dependence. And then you have the physical dependence. And as you keep taking more and more, develop tolerance, and then you end up, you know, having withdrawal symptoms. And it's not like a good pill for somebody to, you know, boost themselves to do well in the test.
Well, Dr. Sadambi, we're even hearing about kids committing suicide after being addicted to this medication. So the first is, what does it do? Is this like addiction, like they would be addicted to heroin, and if they don't get it, then they go through that withdrawal, and then that's why? Or does it do something to their brains that make them unable to make sense of their thoughts, and they have thoughts of suicide that they maybe didn't have before they went on this medication?
The main reason why people become suicidal is because you're crashing from Adderall. It gives you an extreme depression it causes. That's one of the, you know, withdrawal symptoms. And also it makes you get fatigue and increase hunger. But the most important thing is the withdrawal symptoms lead to extreme depression, and that leads to suicidality. But in general, you know, any of these stimulants, when they are prescribed, what happens is mostly the brain reward system gets flooded with dopamine. Because the dopamine has been flooding the circuit, when the drug enters the brain, it actually changes how the brain performs its job. And these changes lead to compulsive drug use, which is the addiction. So any of these prescription medication in general, when they go to the reward pathway, it's all doing the same thing. Be it an opiate prescription for pain medication, taking medication that are prescribed by for someone else. Like, you take the pain medication, the reward system get, stimulated, and this is the same way, the compulsive behavior leading to addiction. You develop tolerance. The set of medication, the prescription pills, has the potential, some of them, for developing tolerance, and then you become dependent. Once you become dependent, then you have withdrawal symptoms. So the compulsive addictive behavior kicks in.
So how are they getting this medication? Are people that are prescribed, I mean, how do you get any drug that's on the market, but are the people that are actually prescribed the ADHD and the ADD kids selling it, sharing it with their friends?
There are many different ways.
Wouldn't a doctor then say, okay, you're going through your medication just a little bit too quickly and we're going to keep closer track?
This is a major problem. With ADHD, there is not a confirmative diagnostic tool for that. The doctor might give you a set of questions to answer. They need to have a very good history-taking potential, because they need to find out if an adult walks into the office and talks to the psychiatrist and says, I've been having trouble focusing, I'm not concentrating, I've taken medication that did not make me get high, and I've been performing well, the doctor quickly writes a prescription. That should not be the way to look at it. One has to really pay attention and ask, from the family members. They need to reach up to, all the collateral to find out if they did really have these problems growing up in school. So not to just, point, a person comes in and says, I have a problem focusing, and to prescribe them Adderall, Ritalin, Focalin, and Vyvanse. It's not a good practice, And the way people get used to getting these drugs is one thing. Going to the doctor is very easy to, read up on all these symptoms, tell the doctor what they want to hear, and they get prescribed. And then when they bring the prescription, the other family members who don't have ADHD, start taking the prescribed medication, prescribed for somebody else. And also, they start taking more than what has been prescribed to them. That's the, second way of getting abusive towards these pills. And also taking for another purpose than what it was prescribed for. And these stimulants, believe it or not, these kids who have the stimulant pills like Adderall, they'll carry it with them in the library, in the schools, and start giving, selling them or giving it to their friends, thinking that I'm helping my friend. Mostly they even sell it for $3. If you have insurance, military insurance and stuff like that, you can get Adderall for $1 a pill. So it has become a diversion. It is.
Yeah, so it's not even a very expensive way to get that focus that they're looking for and that attentional situation, but it can be so dangerous. So in closing, Dr. Sidambi, just tell the listeners what you want them to know about Adderall abuse and keeping their children safe from wanting to try this when they're feeling stressed out and in college and high school and trying to get ready for their exams.
Adderall does not work for what they are looking for. That is number one. It will help them with the rote memory. It's not going to work them with the working memory. That's the biggest point to take home, with. And also, it is not an easy thing. It's a dangerous drug in that it can make one psychotic, it can create cardiac issues, and it might give you seizures. And the most important thing is malnutrition, because Adderall suppresses the appetite and they will be losing weight. And that's not a good thing to, look.
So you want to watch out for all of those kind of things, and talking to your kids is really always the best thing.
Most important thing, if a parent finds out that the child is using Adderall, they need to directly ask them, look for the erratic behavior in them, talk to them about illegal aspect of taking these pills, and also understand the academic stress that the child is going through, and talk to them about options to deal with that stress by tutoring, study strategies, time management skills, and that will be much better than really
than taking a pill to get that done. Thank you so much. It's great information. If you missed any of this good information, you can listen anytime on the go or on demand at radiomd.com. This is Melanie Cole. Stay well.